And in a lot of ways, it's hard to take some of the narrative seriously. Because I'm sitting here in our booth, I'm reading the indictment while also delivering a monologue, by the way. And there's some moments in this indictment that appear to be opinion, speculation. We don't like that Donald Trump said this, which is not, of course, illegal. And the deeper I get into this, I think it was Greg Gutfeld who said these are feelings masquerading as legal facts. And as we were hearing some of the before the actual indictment came out, and then, Jonathan Turley, we'll have audio from him in a second, GWU law professor starting to read this indictment, and he was saying, what is going on here? What is this? Because some of this is legitimately parody. So, for example, and I'm pulling up some of the specific charges now, 4 total charges, 2 having to do with conspiracy, 2 having to do with obstruction. He said the defendant and co-conspirators used knowingly false claims of election fraud to get state legislators and election officials to subvert the legitimate election results and change electoral votes for the defendant's opponent to electoral votes for the defendant. Now, he says that this was based on the pretext of fraud claims, that the defendant pushed officials in certain states to ignore the popular vote, disenfranchise millions of voters, dismiss legitimate electors, and ultimately cause the ascertainment of and voting by illegitimate electors in favor of the defendant. Yet good luck trying to prove that in a court of law, that someone knowingly held a position in conflict with what he was saying publicly. And what he's basically saying is that he lied. That he lied. Now, the good news is, on that part, I will give him, Jack Smith probably going to be able to get an indictment because politicians never lie, ever. And this one seems pretty cut and dry. But if we're going to go down that path and simply say someone lied, which is basically the argument he's making, lying is, for political purposes, lying is a criminal position to take. Okay. If that's what you're going to do, fine by me. If you're going to go after every single politician who you believe to lie. Now, have we seen all the evidence? No. I suppose there could be evidence that suggests Donald Trump wrote a memo, and you can tell it's his because it's all in caps and random grammatical errors throughout, saying, I know this to be false, but we're going to do it anyway. Now, I suppose that could exist, right? And if that exists, okay. I still don't think that that's a crime. You might not like that he did it, and I certainly wouldn't like that he did it. But what I suspect is going to happen is some people will say, yeah, I don't think that this was fraud. And then Donald Trump moving forward anyway. Yeah, he doesn't believe him. It's really that simple. We hear all the time coming from the radical left that the criminal justice system is broken. It is rigged against defendants on the basis of their skin color. Now, that is an opinion of which I do not share. That is an opinion that I find to be rather repulsive. But it's been used by the left semi-recently, right? 2020 to 2022, to inspire violence on the streets. Coming from Antifa, coming from BLM radicals, coming from their enablers. And of course, the party that claims to be all about the rule of law didn't care at all about the violence that was being done on the streets, because it benefited them politically. They don't care about any of the violence that happened on January 6th. They just care about going after Donald Trump. When you had all of those defendants, the handful, I should say at least, who were actually arrested, having their charges dropped all across the country, spare me the nonsense of, well, we're about the rule of law. And then going into the second charge, some of the narrative behind it. Jack Smith goes into the fact that Donald Trump tried to convince, and this is actual language in this, tried to convince Mike Pence to not go forward with the Electoral College certification. That is not illegal. That is not illegal to try to convince someone. Again, if it were, sad news for Pramila Jayapal. Because I just posted the video of her back in 2016 trying to stop then Vice President Joe Biden from moving forward with certification of the Electoral College results.